Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. In today's video we'll be discussing the latest news going on in Ukraine. Let's first head on to Crimea, where, as you can see from this video, Ukrainian drone boats attacked Russian ships. From the video it looks like they were destroyed. These are not important ships, they were just Russian ships, probably for the military, but nothing really that important. But they were destroyed, so I guess that's good news for Ukraine. Now moving on to Kherson. The Russians have still not been able to push the Ukrainians out of Krinky, and the Ukrainians have managed to capture this area over here on the 9th of November. So the Ukrainians are slowly but surely making footholds in Kherson, and they will, in my opinion, launch an offensive probably before the end of this year or even next year. So, moving on to Robotyne, we've seen the Ukrainians have started once again in their attacks on Verbove and Novoprovkivka. As you can see, the Ukrainians did manage to gain some ground over here, all throughout basically the Robotyne sector, near Verbove, near Novoprovkivka, and also this tiny ground over here they gained on the 6th. So, the Ukrainians, in my opinion, they are trying to relaunch this assault to gain better positions. I think they've given up on Tokmak, but they're trying to get some type of breakthrough while the Russians are focused in Avdiivka. Now, moving on to Avdiivka, we see that the Russians have made pretty significant gains for the pace of how this war is going. The Russians have managed to basically, according to some reports, actually enter Stepove. There were some pro-Russian reports saying they've captured it, but that was a couple of days ago, and we've seen no geolocated footage of it. Another video I want to talk about is this video that you're seeing right now of Ukrainian soldiers. Some people were saying these were Ukrainian POWs being forced to talk by the Russians. I don't take what POWs say about the conditions of their military, because they're in the enemy's hands, and they're basically the enemy's going to force them to say what they want to say. However, since some of these Ukrainian soldiers have guns, I don't think these are POWs talking right now. The Ukrainian soldiers basically said the Ukrainians are still trying to take the Terrakon, and they've lost hundreds of men in doing so, and also all of the officers, generals, lieutenants have left Avdiivka and moved on to safer positions. Now, if this is true, and let's say these aren't POWs, that is very, very unprofessional for the officers, lieutenants to basically run from Avdiivka, not wanting to be encircled and leaving their men and giving their men instructions, but not being with their men. I mean, when you have that position, you have the obligation to be with your men even through the tough times. Now, moving on to Klishivka, the Russians have managed to regain some lost positions here and here. There were some reports that the Russians were fighting in Klishivka and that the Russians had completely pushed the Ukrainians out of Klishivka. However, today we got drone footage by the Russians of them attacking Ukrainians in Klishivka. So I do not think those reports were accurate. Also, the Russians have managed to gain some footholds here on the 5th and the 1st of November. Now, moving to the basically Kupion section, we see very, very slight gains, but pretty long gains by the Russians, and that was on the 8th of November that the Russians managed to gain and to take from the Ukrainians. So, very funny things. People are talking about the Kherson offensive, and there's offensive coming for Kherson, and I do believe that. But the Ukrainians said something very hilarious, very funny today. They said that this greatest counteroffensive that we've been reporting about, that the news has been reporting about for over 5 months now, was not even a counteroffensive. It was a demining operation to start the counteroffensive. Now, honestly, I don't believe that. I think the Ukrainians launched a counteroffensive, failed, and now they're trying to act like it wasn't a counteroffensive. However, the Ukrainians are claiming their greatest counteroffensive, the real one, is coming later on this year. And even though I 100% would say that what we've seen in the last 5 months was a part of the Ukrainian counteroffensive, I believe the Ukrainians will try an offensive in Kherson, and that's why you're seeing these Ukrainian footholds being established in Kherson. Make sure you guys like this video, subscribe, join the Fact Army, comment your thoughts down below. Also, if you're a military fan or like military equipment, there's a YouTube channel that is selling some awesome military gear. The link to the channel's military gear is in the description. Make sure you guys go check it out. if you guys like military gear and want to get your hands on some awesome military products.